Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, is it unpatriotic to take Paycheck Protection Program money?
Big Success with the Professor and Mary-Lynn.
Business owners. We are an independent lot, are we not?
Of course. Well, that's why we went into business.
That's right. And so this idea of taking money from the government, for some business owners, it's like fingers on a chalkboard.
Oh, boy.
Now, Mary-Lynn, it occurs to me, you and I know what that means.
Right.
But what's the new equivalent of, I don't think it sounds the same on a whiteboard.
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know that we have an equivalent, but you get the idea. That scratchy noise on the chalkboard just drives some people crazy. And the thing is, some entrepreneurs think that taking government money through something like the Paycheck Protection Program is unpatriotic.
So is it unpatriotic?
The answer is no.
All right, and we're going to find out why in our podcast episode today.
Hi, I'm George Kruger, a.k.a. The Professor.
And I'm Mary-Lynn. So the Payroll Protection Program, we're going to talk about some FAQs, right?
And FAQ is not about the program, but like what we've heard from talking with some of our customers, clients, the way a lot of business people think about this.
Right. And why we believe that there is opportunity and why we are encouraging our clients and any business owner we know, business owners listening to this podcast, to go ahead and take advantage of this program. So, first and foremost, you want to talk with your professional advisor about what this means for you. Yeah,
I mean, you're going to see the main professional advisor here is actually going to be your banker, but you also will want to talk to your CPA just to make sure that you're understanding the whole program and its implications on your finances of your business and your own finances. And then you may also want to talk to an attorney just to cover all your bases.
But thankfully, the professor here has a grip on this program. And so can you give us just an overview of how it works?
Yeah, so the deadline to apply is June 30th, 2020, so this year. And it's first come, first serve. So you can borrow. Go ahead.
So you don't want to wait until closing.
No,
the sooner the better.
The sooner the better, yeah, because there's a lot of response to this program. And so you can borrow up to your monthly payroll times 2.5. Think about that. The government is giving you money to cover 2.5 months of payroll. There's no collateral. This is amazing because, you don't see small business loans like this. There's no collateral. There's no personal guarantee. There's no fees to us as the borrowers. So it's a 2-page application. They say it takes about 8 minutes to complete. I think if you've got your paperwork in place, fortunately this is hitting at a good time because everybody's doing their taxes anyway. So, you've got this information pretty much ready at hand or you've handled it recently. But compared to like a regular loan where you got to give 3 years of financial statements, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, you've got to give, a few years of tax returns, individual and business. I mean, there's a lot of materials you have to provide in order to get a loan. This is a 2-page application. The only numbers on the page are your payroll information, and it's the simplest loan I've ever seen. So the loan itself the rate is 1%. How often you get to borrow 1%? Not very often. There's no payments for 6 months. Now interest will keep accruing, and you have to pay it off in 2 years. But, and this is the biggest but you'll ever see. Okay. Sorry, Mary-Lynn, I couldn't think of it.
I'm just imagining that.
So the biggest but that you'll ever see is there's a kicker. Now, usually the kicker.
Is this bad news?
This is great news.
Okay.
Usually the kicker, when we're doing financing, the kicker goes to the person giving the money. In this case, the kicker goes to the person getting the money. Okay. So if you meet certain conditions, mainly the idea is you keep your payroll where it was at last year. Okay. So take the average of all your payrolls. Yes. If you keep your payroll at that level and if you keep pay levels at 75% or more of what you had been paying last year, then the government will let you apply to forgive this loan. So in other words, this loan can very simply turn into a grant. It's like the government investing in your business at the rate of 2.5 times your monthly payroll.
This money is taxable, correct?
No, actually, what I'm hearing now from CPAs is they believe this is not taxable. Once again, check with your own personal advisor, because I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax expert, but what we're hearing is it's not taxable. Normally it would be, because anytime you get a loan forgiven, that's usually taxable money. But in this case, it sounds like that may not be the case.
Right.
Once again, check with your professional advisors.
And of course, if you do get the money, you can always just kind of you can always sock some away just in case,
yeah.
as well. So,
Yep.
All right. Well, that was quite the overview. That really was very helpful.
We didn't get too deep in the weeds.
No, well, it really gives the bullet points and what we need to know.
I should actually say, Mary-Lynn, we do have a link to the application form itself, so you can see it even before you talk to your banker.
Right.
You're going to see it's simple. It's like 2 pages of application. Most of that is just, I certify that I'm not a criminal. I certify this. I certify that. And then the other thing is, there's also a link on our blog post to a U.S. Chamber infographic that really does a fantastic job of pulling out kind of all of the mini details of this, just so you really get a quick understanding of it. That's not going to take you long to do either. So those 2 resources are available to you through the blog post.
All right. So now let's go back to some questions that we've been getting asked about this program. And a big one that we're hearing from business owners is, okay, well, if I go ahead and apply and get this money, am I crowding out others who may need the money more?
And the answer to that question is really no. First of all, it's up to them. If they apply and you apply, you're in line, they're in line. So, the only way that they don't get to participate in this program is if they don't apply. So that's the first thing. And the second thing I would say is there may be more stimulus coming. So I wouldn't look at it that way. I wouldn't look at if there's a finite pool. I would look at this right now as the government wants to get things going, and they realize that small business, government's finally catching on, right? Small business is the driver of good economies, and this is designed to help small businesses stay on their feet and maybe even more. So do not think about this as I'm taking money away from somebody else. I'm keeping somebody else from meeting payroll. That's not the case.
Well, and I think it's also probably good to be careful that you don't stand off to the side to let others get the money, and then you end up needing the money for something unexpected that you didn't think about. And it's so hard right now with all the uncertainty to know what could happen, what unexpected cost could come on top of everything else.
And Mary-Lynn, that's a really significant point, because we don't know, right? We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know if there's something else going to hit us. I mean, we just don't know at this point. And so to just walk away from this money without at least giving it serious thought, I think is a mistake. I think you really should take a look at this program, and you probably should apply if you qualify.
All right. And then another question that we get, business owners are a conscious bunch. And we're hearing from people who say, look, if I go ahead and take this money, I mean, look at our debt. This is $1 trillion stimulus package?
Two plus trillion. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean,
that's trillion with a T.
We talked about a big butt earlier. How about a big dollar sign?
Yeah, that's a big dollar sign.
The biggest dollar sign you've ever seen. And so folks are conscious of that and concerned that if I take this money, I'm adding to the national debt. Are my kids and grandkids going to have to pay this down the road?
Well, and here the answer to that question is simply this. You got to, once again, step back and look at the macro situation, not your micro situation, but the macro situation. And the macro situation is we have faced something that we've never faced before. We have had businesses closed down in a way that they've never been. We've had the economy shut down, essentially, right? I mean, with the exception of absolute essentials, the economy has pretty much been shut down. And because of that, we want to try to get back on a stable foundation as quickly as possible. And so the answer to your question, am I adding to the debt? No, not taking this money and not growing your business. That may add to the debt, because you're not going to be making profit that you might otherwise make. What the government's doing here, and I think smartly in this case, they're saying, look, we need to get small businesses back on their feet. We need to get them through this period, and then we've got to help them get back to the growth plans that they had before. And by taking this money, you have all of that possibility in your hand. So by all means, take a look at this program, and don't think that it's going to hurt your grandkids in the long run. Think how it's going to help them.
And also the grandkids of your employees, right?
Yes, exactly right.
Because employed people help the economy.
Absolutely right.
So then, how should we be thinking about this Paycheck Protection Program just in general?
Well, I think, and I don't know that I'm going to say anything here we haven't already said, but anything I say here I think actually does bear repetition. So get past the current situation. Just think about your whole business and the future. And the first thing we got to do is we got to make sure that if there's any issues in the short run, we've got the patch. We've got a way of getting past that. And so the first thing this money is going to do is it's going to help you, as you brought up, Mary-Lynn, like in a case of a major customer who suddenly can't pay or something like that.
Right. Or a vendor suddenly can't supply you with what you need, and you're having to go out to a different vendor, and the price has gone up. And so you just, the unexpected.
Or your main product that you sell is not available through the supply chain, and now that's the one that drives your sales, and it's suddenly not available at all.
Or even who knows what's going to happen once we get, past all of this, what social changes come about, and does that affect your business?
Precisely. So I think these are all the things we got to be thinking about in the short term. And then the long term, let's just say, let's just say you don't need the money. You really, turns out you take the money, you never have to really use it. Great. That's your growth capital. We're always looking for growth capital in small business. There you go. You got it. And that's part of, I think, the idea behind this is by getting money in the hands of business people, they're going to make the right decisions for today, but they also know that if they can conserve some money today, that's going to give them the ability to grow faster down the road, because growth takes money. It just simply takes money to expand your business. And so you're going to be able to do this. So I look at this, I've never seen anything like this in my 3 decades plus in business. This is a once in a lifetime, if that. I mean, this is a once in a 100-year kind of event in terms of the opportunity here for small businesses. We highly encourage you to really look seriously at this program.
And as George mentioned earlier, don't forget, we've got a link where you can go to download the application for the Paycheck Protection Program. Also, the link to the infographic by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce that explains the program in detail.
Yep.
So you can find those with your show notes for this podcast episode today.
And, don't forget, the call to action really is simple. Call your banker. Call your banker. Just get a hold of your banker. If they haven't called you, call them. And if that banker can't do the deal, go to somebody else. Somebody out there wants this deal. Community banks are really responding in a great way to try to help all the small businesses who want to be part of this program, to make sure that they are part of this program.
And you know what? Everybody working together to help small businesses. Now that leads to big success.
Yes, it does. We thank you so much for listening today.
Until next time,
here's to your big success.
Find big success at biggsuccess.com.